Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Candle Close News. I just wanted to come out and give you all another quick market update as we continue to see Bitcoin on the 2-hour time frame playing out beautiful as to what we've called for and made some predictions for Bitcoin to do. So it's very important that we see this playing out by the numbers and hitting some very important key ranges. And when I say that, I mean we're holding absolute perfect supports or just playing around these numbers and these places that we've talked about just perfectly. If it isn't, for instance, like this support being held from this large wick down to 187, and today is the day coming out of the 187th day of the year yesterday. We just know how important this time period was going to be, and we've got a lot of things in our next video that we'll be discussing around this. But when I continue with this and just show you, like this 1993, we know it was a Smita year, a 7-year cycle that was 7 years before the dot-com bubble. In this time period with this speculative asset and cryptocurrencies, I've spoken about how I think this is just very similar to the dot-com bubble. Well, we played around this 1993 range and then ultimately held support right here as well. Just wick down straight to that 1993 range. We first saw every wick and candle close below this 1993 range before we broke up, came sold right back down before holding support again, leading to where we are today. 3 a.m. this morning, I knew I couldn't post in the group chat, so I drew this rectangular box and was trying to wait till 11 a.m. where I usually post my updates for all our pioneers at the Daily Candle Close News. I was 15 minutes away when I saw these candles just bursting through our price range that I was going to prepare all of our pioneers for, hopefully in advance. Wasn't able to get out and do that this morning like I have almost every other step since we followed this 2-hour time frame in this broadening wedge pattern. Ultimately, what I think this is going to play out to be is a potential bear pennant or bear flag. So something we'll be discussing towards the end of this video or in my next video as well. So all my experts and pioneers that are doing their due diligence and learning a craft behind technical analysis that so many people want to say doesn't work, well, you might know what a bull flag is, and you could be preparing for that if I don't get that in this video. But we just see ultimately, this 21.5 range has been on our target for the upside of our top side of the range that we know we had got stopped out at multiple times. 3, 4, 5 times with wicks that couldn't break back above this 21,500. So ultimately showing us 3, 4 really false breakouts. We know this was above, but both candles ended up closing above but sold back down ultimately. So we know this was ultimately a bull trap that punished the bulls all the way down to this 187 or this $18,700 range, that 187 number again. So very important. Just ultimately seeing a lot of things play out just perfectly and beautiful. Right now, this 2-hour time period and candle is selling off and wicking down to this 21.5 where I updated in the Pioneer group chat. I told my pioneers we want to see this level hold as support now that we're finally back up here. We saw resistance at this top side range so many times that we now want to treat it as support. So we'll see what happens moving forward. If so, we could possibly see this 21 or this $22,700 range where we got stopped out again multiple times. So very important. We could see that 22.3, the 223 tying us back into our lizard pals and homeboys on the world stage, Skull and Bones, Yale University, we know this. Or that 224 that ultimately ties us back into Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. When you type his name out in numerology and gematria, we know you get the 224. So very important, the 224. You also get the 55. Why are we seeing Bitcoin move up today? Well, because today, 7/7/2022, comes out of a day that added up to be 55 in numerology yesterday, the 187th day of the year. So again, we've talked about this. We knew this time period would be very important. So today is 7-7. That's ultimately tying us back into our pals that help run the show. And I've taught you all this, giving us that 77 and this 23 that ties us back into. So very important. We could ultimately see Bitcoin today push up towards possibly that $22,000, $22,002 in the 2022 year, or just that 22,000 even ultimately before we stop this pump. Obviously, we're going to keep an eye on the RSI that's completely overheld and overbought right now. So let's pay attention to this signal line. If we were to see this signal line start to curve back to the downside and this RSI continue to pull down, well, we know what's coming. The bottom side of our range. Traders take advantage of this, not financial advice. But ultimately, that 22,000, I'm bringing that up because when we look at today's date and compare it to the end of the Smita, the 7-year sabbatical cycle that comes in on September 26, 2022, well, we see that coming out of yesterday in the 22 year was ultimately a 2-month and 2-day time period. So 2-month and 20-day time period, ultimately giving us that 2022. So all very exo and esoteric as to why we could possibly see a 22K Bitcoin again today. So very important. We'll continue to see how this plays out. But some other things that I wanted to talk about was when we looked at the weekly time frame for Bitcoin, it's not a whole lot of price movement, but we're zooming in and we're getting closer to this SMA of our 200 simple moving average. We know that that's been talked about, how we've never closed multiple weekly candles below the 200 or the 223 exponential moving average. So to see us almost reclaim and get back up here to this 200 simple moving average that is setting at 22,400, 22,500 right now. So again, another range we've spoken about. We could possibly see it push up there before we get a rejection and come back down to retest some lower levels on some smaller time frames that we've been discussing. But ultimately, we knew we had this trend line that we've respected, okay? And when we look at the RSI, we know on the weekly time frame, we've shared that. I'm gonna have to go back to this chart, view the weekly time frame on the RSI. We know that we're in extreme oversold levels and underbought levels for Bitcoin and almost every other crypto we've talked about lately in areas where we've never seen before. So we knew that a bounce was coming, obviously, when we pay attention to the important indicators that we teach here. So we know it was very oversold. So all this stuff right here that we saw, I mean, just a fast sell-off, all this, there hasn't been any bounces. Where's the bounce at? We know it's coming sometime soon. So we fell into some pretty amazing accumulation levels, and yes, we could go lower, but I'm just saying this is looking a lot like a pole of a bear flag. So we're gonna have to pay attention to how this is, and how it's gonna play out. Sorry to say it like that, but we're just ready to explode if you ask me. But we're in a downtrend, and we've ultimately been in a downtrend. So to go back here and break this 2-hour time frame down a little bit more, we know we were in this descending wedge. Let's change this a little bit. Alright, boom. So if we look at Bitcoin on a 2-hour time frame and we remove these into a possible bear flag or bear pennant, we could possibly see this playing out in the cards. And these might not be perfect, and it's not to predict what's going to happen, you know, it's to watch for the signals right here. But we see a clear pole or flag pole coming in, and then we've got this flag type triangle or just this uptrend in a parallel channel, correct? We want to pay attention to how this was to play out. If we were to come up here and get support above, then we're looking to long the breakout if we get support above this channel. So boom, that would look a little bit like this. The signal's coming, you know, we're running out of room. So very important if we were to continue to see this play out to the upside, and we want to hold support of about that 22,700 range, or you know, possibly the top side of wherever this parallel channel comes in. I've got it drawn ultimately at the wicks, but I like to add some confluence, and I brought it to the bottom of where we first saw a bounce before we continue to break below, and then break all the way down to the bottom side. We saw an automatic rally before selling off again, a bull trap basically. So we got some resistance before breaking all the way down. So that's how I'm playing this out right here, as a potential bear flag or bear pennant. So we could see a breakout towards the upside or a breakout towards the downside. If we were to come up here, let's say, and let's say we were to come up here and get rejected from the top side of this channel, then we could possibly see this come back down to the bottom, where we could potentially, if we see rejection and we can't get a breakout to get above and hold support for a breakout, well then we could possibly get ready to short, not financial advice, some of the altcoins. So something I'm just, you know, throwing out there if we were to see this play out like that. So one other thing is, let's delete that. Let's delete that. Alright, and if we were to draw our trend lines, we obviously, again, could be playing this as, this would be our bear pennant, you guys, and then the bear flag was the one I was just showing you. So if we were to see this bear pennant play out, we could possibly, obviously, see that we got a breakout, depending on how you want to draw this. It'd be more like that. So possible rejection from this area. Well, we need more touches. Yeah, right there. So our bear pennant would be a potential breakout and target to the upside, which we've got our breakout, and we'd want to hold support of the 21.5 to see a potential 22,500, etc. range on the weekly time frame. That's where our 200 simple moving average is. So that would make sense if we hold support where we're at right now, $21,542, and continue momentum to the upside. It would make sense to see this move cool off on the 2-hour time frame. Again, I mean, we can see this RSI get even higher and set a potential new all-time high on the 2-hour time frame, you know, over the last month or so, 2 months, 3 months. You know, we haven't reached this level of the RSI at 86 since March 28th. That's where our bull trap came in right here around March 28th. So again, we could be seeing this time period as a potential automatic rally and bounce, something we've been eager to see because we know the RSI we've talked about multiple times is oversold. So very important to see this play out. We just know a move is coming, and that's what we want to pay attention to. It's getting consolidated really tight into the apex of this triangle. So, you know, definitely want to see what happens here. We're bullish biased here, but not financial advice. We can make moves and plays both ways. So we know that we came up here and got rejected, until we got above this, came back down, held this support, and just continued to bounce. When we zoom in, we see a clear W pattern breakout that I want to discuss as well. So I know I'm just flying through this, you guys, but just a quick market update. We see this clear W pattern breakout that I was noticing early this morning. So 2, 4, 5 a.m. I was paying attention to this while I was at work, and we saw a clear breakdown to a bottom an automatic rally up on the 2-hour time frame to where we could possibly see this as a forming a neckline. And then what we see, another push down, ultimately holding a higher low in structure, and then boom, W pattern breakout. One of my most favorite things to trade, you guys. So hopefully this is just sharing with you all some things that we paid attention to. You might be wondering what this yellow box and circle is. This yellow circle is. And that's a position where we decided in our last video, we saw this breakout when this was a broadening wedge, and we held support on the outside of the top side of our trend line of our broadening wedge. We were looking, and we had a breakout. We were looking to see a back test of the top side of that trend line that was running, this way on our charts. I've already deleted it, sorry. So and that's where I said, we've got our support. We're gonna long some positions in our altcoins. We don't 125x, no, we do 0x, 1x, or 2x trading. Okay, we make sure we can get out of these trades and we don't lose money. Okay, sometimes we get liquidated. Not financial advice. We don't even trade a lot, but when we see power moves, we're able to take advantage of them. Not financial advice. So we've de-risked already as we got up here this morning and we saw this push to 20,900, a box that I drew at 3 a.m. I said it's time to de-risk. Now that we're up more, we can de-risk a little bit more of our leveraged positions in our altcoin and hold just a little bit more in case we were to continue to push up, and then finally close those positions and get ready to either use the money we've de-risked already, or the money on the sidelines, or the money we're going to close with, hopefully, to short this market if we were to pay attention to the indicators and continue to see this market go down after this euphoric rally on the 2-hour time frame that we're witnessing. So we're finally getting some energy coming to the cryptocurrency market, and it's got everything to do with this time period that we have been in lately, because energy gives us 74 in numerology and gematria when we type that out, and we're just coming out of July 4th, Independence Day, the 7th month, 4th day. And it's all about the 7's this year, and the 7-year sabbatical cycle, and the Smita, something I've been teaching my pioneers about. And today is 7/7 in the Gregorian calendar that they tell us about. Don't pay attention to the 14. But so it's all about the 7's this year. With all that being said, I'm going to leave this here. So take care and God bless, pioneers. I was in the middle of working on my weekly technical analysis, broader video, over an hour long, and I just had to stop what I was doing and come out and talk about the markets. So take care and God bless. Pioneers rise, build your legacy, and build your fortress.